The thing about AI is that, whilst we're using AI in our product and our marketing, like nothing can replace, like AI at this point cannot replace in people wanting to meet in person. And our platform totally facilitates people setting up experiences for people to meet in person, like your conference that you're holding, wellness retreats, etc. So even all these creators and people doing online courses, they're getting a bit GPT'd out right now. Like, oh, I can just do this GPT chat. In fact, people are having relationships with their GPT therapist now, like their GPT. And, you know, if our platform, if the sole purpose for it is for people to stay together and meet in real life, we're both AI proof and recession proof, which I think is comforting to me as the founder.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show. I'm your host, Erika, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Hayley Melidonis. She's shaking things up in the travel and real estate tech space with her innovative platform, Bubbl. Hayley, it's awesome to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Erika. Great to be here. Hello, everyone.
Yeah. We're so excited to have you here. So let's jump on in. For our listeners, give us the rundown. How did you end up founding Bubbl, and what was that journey like?
Yeah, so firstly, because this is a real estate podcast, I'll talk about my love of real estate. I'm Australian, you could probably tell. If you haven't met many Australians already, what you may not know is that the whole country is obsessed with real estate. So this country, I feel like, is obsessed with sort of tech, or at least I live in San Francisco, so I feel that. And, innovation and Apple and everything. But in Australia, it was all about real estate. So as I grew up, so I started real estate investing at the mature age of 30, and I was self-taught. And I real estate invested, and it was the best thing I ever did. Moving forwards, fast forwarding over the years, I was telling Erika that I'm a very global traveler. I have I would argue perfect founder fit because I've been a global traveler. I was an analog nomad, a solo traveler, all the things that my platform is going to cater for. I ran shared ski cabins in Lake Tahoe for 8 years, which is really the thing that jolted me to do Bubbl. And I've worked in tech for 30 years. I worked at Uber, Virgin, I've worked at Intel, Nokia, a bunch of brands. And what led me to build Bubbl was that during COVID, I realized that, the other thing I forgot to mention, heli ski travel companies. So I have a travel company where I sell helicopter skiing, and I help people work out the perfect trip because I've heli skied everywhere, and I take groups. And that's interesting because it's like groups doing an experience that's very intimate together and staying in the same lodge, which is sort of what Bubbl is too. But during COVID, I was running my ski leases, they called, in Tahoe. And I was doing it, and I realized that everyone knows COVID, what happened. I realized that, this connection was really, really needed. In fact, it's the reason I called the company Bubbl, because I knew that after COVID, it was a bit of a play on the whole thing, right? It was like everyone knew what a bubble was for that negative connotation, but now I'm bringing it into a positive realm that A Bubbl is a platform for people to share accommodation. It's anchored on sharing accommodation for a bigger, better deal, but most importantly, to make those intimate connections that really only get made when you're in these situations. Because what I observed when I was running my ski cabins, I was working at Uber, I was doing robo-taxi deals. I definitely had a high pressure job. But what I learned during that was so I would go on the weekends to my Bubbl, to my ski house, and everyone would be letting their hair down, not totally like partying and things, but, group hot tubs, group dinners. It was just really healthy. And, group breakfasts and just enjoying the weekend and then going home to their respective houses.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And I saw that these people were over 30. And when we're kids, we have slumber parties. When we're in teenagers, we go to college. And you guys have dorms and you have roommates and you have fraternity houses, apparently. And then in your 20s, at least in Australia, we go travel the world. We stay in youth hostels. But what happens when we're 30? We're expected to grow up and just not have that kind of fun anymore. And so I realized that there was this world where there's a million places I could book a house, but there were no places I could take that house and share it with people I knew, or people I didn't know, or people I maybe wanted to know. And true story, my husband and I met in a Bubbl house. We met before the company had started, but it was a share summer house. And so I think I was living proof that, truly amazing. In fact, 2 people on my management team I met in Bubbl houses. So it's just been this remarkable thing. And as I built the platform, it was okay, what are the tools needed to manage one of these things? And what does the marketplace look like? How do people want to meet? And I'm proud to say that we're, developing the AI kind of matching version of that right now. So labor of love.
Yeah, that's really exciting. What's been the journey like, building, out the market of Bubbl spaces and events? How, are there, different sections? Are there different challenges, with building out certain areas?
Well, part of the challenge of Bubbl was I incubated it for 2 years before I left Uber. And everyone I asked about how they're traveling, what they do, they were like, oh my God, that's amazing. I would use it for this. I would use it for that. I would go to Europe for a month and I would book an apartment for a month and then I would get people to come in for a week at a time. I'd be in there. It's not timeshare. I mean, let me be clear. Bubbl's not timeshare. Bubbl's about the people living together at the same time in the place. Other people would say I would use it for weddings because I've got a wedding coming up and I don't know anyone. I'd love to share with someone. Everyone, college student, there were so many use cases, which is somewhat been challenging because we've got to focus and start somewhere. I will say that when we started with events because in the world of building a tech marketplace, you have to have network effects. You have to be able to match both sides. And so I knew that we could do that with events because we could find the people going to the events either by partnering with the event companies or even going around it and looking at, there's different ways you can do it with ads or you can do it with LinkedIn, for example, event. And so we started with, Coachella and we started with South by Southwest, which is kind of it's kind of leisure and business event. And what we discovered was obviously people are already traveling like this. Already renting Airbnbs for this sort of thing. And they're doing it because housing's expensive at events and they want to meet people. And so ultimately they were the 2 value props that anchor our product. What we've done is, whilst we believe and know that this will be a platform for anyone to travel anywhere, family, one of my friends, she's like, I'm a single mother of an 8-year-old kid. I'm lonely when I go on holidays. I've got no one to talk to. And I'm like, well, Sally, you need to go and get a house with other people, male or female, who are single parents, who've got 8 to 10-year-old kids, don't you? That's what you just need. You need to do to build that bubble. Everyone can build a bubble with people in the same situation as them or like them. And so that's the challenge. The journey's been where to focus first. So we're focusing on the US. We're focusing to some extent on the Bay Area because that's where I live, partnering with clubs and gyms. And because, all these associations, societies, we can give them a travel club for their members to travel together because the idea of Bubbl is anyone can post their trip, their house. And then the other thing is these leisure conferences and festivals and these conferences. And so it's interesting because, there's really big conferences like Dreamforce and there's a lot of AI conferences now. So there's a lot of value to be possibly even like getting a hotel block and having people grouped in those who might want to kind of hang out together, and they get a group buy deal. And, we're actually even starting to sell brands and companies wherever your customers go and you meet them at, sponsor a Bubbl. Few $1,000s, set it up, and you're basically building a pop-up community of your target market. But they'd be people that want to meet and hang out together at the conference because they'd have similarities. So yeah, there's this idea that, does it translate to business? Yes, it does. Can I use it in my personal and professional life?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
And just getting, what I call network effects. But we've done 17 events now, and we're kind of well on our way. We're partnering with, Art Basel, for example. We launched last year for Art Basel, which is in Miami. And this year we're looking, in fact, I've got a call later today with a big partner to become a housing for, like, they do a side event. So become like the whole side event housing partner. So that's kind of how we're rolling it out in partnerships, usually. And with conferences like the Real Estate Pros, you guys really could be using it for your conference. Yeah. So
Yeah, I love it. There's so many possibilities with what you have going on with Bubbl, and also with, what you're doing. How do you see Bubbl impacting the real estate industry?
So when I was at Uber, I spent some time, I think big systems like ecosystems. I spent a lot of time thinking about the real estate industry because I'm a real estate, I'm an investor, and I have tenants, and I actually thought a lot about liability as well. Running my ski leases as well. And what I think for the real estate industry, firstly, the real estate industry is not optimized right now and you've got a whole lot of people with houses and even people with condos and 2-bedroom condos. Do you know that I think it's 60%, there's a huge amount of people that are traveling solo, and all these bedrooms are going unused. So many bedrooms are going unused. And so that the utilization and optimization of property is not happening. Well, with Bubbl, it will happen, because actually when we get enough liquidity, that I told you about that arbitrage, that 20 to 40% that our data tells us is available. Depending, and this is not jamming houses with people over the limit, not at all. This is like putting the same amount of people that, can fit in the house, but, curating it well, and you're giving people a better time. So I think the real estate industry ultimately can benefit in two ways. One, better utilization of their properties. And two, interestingly, liability wise, like if you have your house on Bubbl, we know Bubbl knows who's in the property. We have fully verified IDs. We're actually going to be deploying background checks any day now. But Airbnb only know the person that booked it. They don't know the other people in the house, except we do. Everyone has to be ID checked to stay in one of these Bubbls.
That's a really good idea.
Mhm.
And your platform, you emphasize safety, sustainability, community.
Yes.
How do you ensure that those values translate into tangible benefits for the property owners that are partnering with Bubbl? You touched on that a little bit, but let's touch on it more.
Well, I think so. There's a rating system, and I know from running. So every time anyone says, "Oh, what about this and what about that?" I'm like, well, I've had a lot of experience running these ski houses. So by default, by virtue of the fact that someone has to book the property, and we have applications and social links in our we have user profiles and we have ratings. Ratings are incredibly important because if you like the platform, you don't want to get kicked off it. And I've got a trust and safety advisor who's actually I think he's leaving today, product manager at Airbnb. I've got some very strong talent in my team to help us manage that. So the other thing is we will be offering Bubbl Wrap insurance. We will be, when we bring properties onto the platform, that's what we will do. Right now we're partnering with people. So you just bring your, the people can rent on the existing platforms and they can bring it to Bubbl. But we are keen to hear back from investors. We're talking to some of those platforms like Cloud, what are they called, Guesty and people like that, about bringing on properties directly to our platform and even matching them with these travelers who we call leaders. So, is that the question? Like, how will it benefit? Is that what it
Yep.
was? I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I
yep.
lost train of thought. Yeah. I mean, what I think, so the last point on that, sorry, I'm just saying that I think the key thing is that, and one thing that's important to emphasize is that what I've observed is that when people are in a group situation, they behave a lot better than they might on their own because other people are watching and their group think. It is really, really interesting that, you could think they're going to have a lot of issues, but actually, no, there's always sensible people in the group. There's always witnesses. So actually, the chances, I think, of really severe damage happening when you've got sort of strangers living together is actually much less likely than you'd think.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. I get what you're saying, although never really thought about it until now. Haley, as
Mm.
I'm sure you know, every entrepreneur has a moment where things get real.
Yeah.
Maybe, things didn't go as planned or a challenge forced a quick pivot. Do you have one of
Yeah.
those moments from your journey with Bubbl or, even earlier on before that?
Lots of. I had it 8 years ago. I had a general contract. I'm now married to a general contractor who I met in a Bubbl. I met him in a house 4 years ago, actually during COVID, a share house. That's our Bubbl story. But the funny thing was before that, I had a general contractor who I trusted because he was a friend who had come in to do my own property in San Francisco and he screwed me over. Suffice to say, 7 years later, 2 lawsuits that I won, and one complaint to the CSLB led to felonies at the DA. So this guy got felonies, so don't mess with me. But he did because he did the wrong thing. And I was very taken advantage of. And so now I know a lot about construction law, more than I'd like to know. But yeah, back to Bubbl's challenges. I think, I had an interesting experience I was telling you earlier with like some investors that tried to come in and didn't understand that perhaps I was smart enough to read a contract. I mean, I'd only done contracts at Uber and Intel for like 10 years, but perhaps I was dumb blonde, I don't know. And they tried to kind of con me and devise an investment that was very, very egregious. And so, I nipped that one in the bud too. So unfortunately, what I realized, I went over to Las Vegas to pitch investors and, the person misrepresented themselves who was setting up their things. So I can tell you one thing, as an entrepreneur, there's a hell of a lot of sharks out there who are just on the take. And that's sad, and it is what it is. So you just have to be wise and dot your I's and cross your T's. I think that's been a little bit challenging and of a setback because as a founder, if your heart's in it and you're trying to build something and you're using every result, I mean, I've had my not that there's anything wrong with my brother-in-law, but I've had my brother-in-law helping us with coding from Australia because, we haven't had money to make the ends meet in the early days, things like that. You know what I mean? So you do everything you can to be resourceful, to build out your vision while you're doing that what I call founder-led sales and listening to the market and hearing the feedback, and pivoting and just having to move so fast. And I guess the third piece, which I will say has been uniquely challenging, has been AI. So I am living in the capital of AI. When I started building this product, it did not have an AI slant because we were kind of like doing what I was doing at the houses and putting it on a platform. We were like modeling ourselves off Airbnb in terms of the way it looked. Well, now, everything's switched over and it's such a fast pace of time. You've got these agentic AI user experiences and it doesn't really matter to your investors except to say that like I'm living in the most, I think, challenging, fast-paced times ever to be building a company. There's both opportunities and then real threats and real, challenges to that. So I'm pleased to say that we've pivoted. We've got a Silicon Valley grade team with people from Shipt and Venmo and Amazon and Macy's and Virgin and Uber. I mean, our team is, and Amazon, our team is solid and we are building a really amazing kind of people matching platform to be able to actually give you, I guess, with real reassurance, a great experience of connected accommodation at scale. We're building that AI app out right now, and we're building it fast, but it's just been really, really crazy times. And I think everyone in your audience is probably, if they haven't already been impacted by AI, they will be at some point soon.
Yeah, absolutely. AI is just changing everything. It's kind of like when the internet first came out.
Right. But faster.
Yeah.
For my downtime, I never have downtime, right? I mean, if I'm skiing or, I go for a walk and I listen to a podcast, and there's these podcasts I listen to and they're like crazy. And like, I'm in the Valley, everyone. I'm in Silicon Valley and it's mad. It's crazy right now. I mean, I don't know if I'm exactly comfortable with what's happening either. Like, I think there's going to be a big, and one thing I do want to put, and I don't want to scare your investors, but there is going to be an enormous impact if people are losing their jobs and don't have an income. The way I look at it, it's funny because when I went into Bubbl, the one thing that reassured me, leaving my nicely paid, robo-taxi partnerships job at Uber, was firstly, I mean, I was thinking about the recession-proof idea. If people need to share accommodation because they still want to go to that conference, they need to network because maybe they're looking for a job or they're trying to set up a business. A lot of people are setting up businesses nowadays, then our platform provides a great affordability message. So there's sort of a recession proof. But I hadn't considered the impact of AI. And the thing about AI is that, whilst we're using AI in our product and our marketing, like nothing can replace, like AI at this point cannot replace in people wanting to meet in person. And our platform totally facilitates people setting up experiences for people to meet in person, like your conference that you're holding, your wellness retreats, etc. So even all these creators and people doing online courses, they're getting a bit GPT'd out right now. Like, oh, I can just do this GPT chat. In fact, people are having relationships with their GPT therapist now, like their GPT. And, if our platform, if the sole purpose for it is for people to stay together and meet in real life, we're both AI proof and recession, which I think is comforting to me as the founder. So yeah, proof, which I think is comforting to me as the founder. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Earlier on, you were just talking about all the people that have joined your team that have had amazing backgrounds. Do you have
Yep.
any advice for people on how to make those connections to build their business, whether it's looking for people on their team or building relationships with your ideal customer?
Yeah, that's a great question. And a lot of the people on your listening would be, I would think, agreeable. So I know that there are companies in Silicon Valley. There's one in particular that advertises that it's harder to get into their company than Harvard. And I think it's funny because I've also, in my old days, interviewed for jobs where they'll be like, yes, we're interviewing 100 people. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I am not going to waste my time interviewing 100 people. That is absolutely outrageous and delusional. And anyone that thinks they need to interview 100 people has got something wrong with their head. That's an ego trip. That's what that is. So I have met people, and I don't think I've hired correctly all the time. Like, I've made mistakes. In fact, usually I've made mistakes with people I didn't know. There's an argument that says hire people you know, better the devil you know, and there's an argument that says, don't limit to that because you're skewed. Well, in a couple of ways. So one, I met Dan from Venmo. I met him at South by Southwest and we just had this chemistry. He just gelled. And it turns out he'd left his the AI startup he was working on, which was founded by the ex-founder of Venmo, right? So they were in another second business. Anyway, so I got him at the right time and I just called him up and said, hey, what are you up to? So I do think networking. I do think putting it out in the ether. I put things on my Facebook. I don't even put it on LinkedIn because, my Facebook, I'm so well connected on my Facebook that LinkedIn will charge me, but Facebook won't. So I just say, in fact, I put it up the other day, need this person fast. And I got like 4 leads. So from my Facebook. So I think people want to help each other. I think there's a lot of super connectors out there who are, kind of looking out. I haven't really used recruiters to find people, and then recommendations. And I do think there's a rule in dating and there's a rule in this as well, I think. And this is also like actually a message about my platform. We talk about infinite possibilities. We talk about serendipity. Put yourself out there and have a positive attitude, because even when I would go on dates and I would be like so frustrated, maybe thinking, oh God, 50 dates. And I like, come on, like that was the most ridiculous date. But you have to go into a date going, okay, this is going to be experience. I want to learn something. It'll be really nice to learn something. Meet someone, maybe help someone make someone's day, or learn something or teach someone something. I think we can all, through interactions, learn some from each other. And so even if I do an interview when I was either applying for jobs or I meet someone and I don't, pick them, I think there's value in the exchange. And if you go into it with that attitude, then you can't lose from many of these kind of interactions. So
Yeah.
that's my advice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what you have going on with Bubbl is really exciting. What do you see next on the horizon? What's your vision? Is there a challenge that you're focusing to solve, and how do you plan to tackle that?
So we've got two things we're working on. I mentioned the AI version of our app. It's, really exciting. Think of it as Airbnb. So our pitch deck right now talks about Airbnb books beds. LinkedIn builds networks. Bubbl does both. So the funny thing about Bubbl is it's going to be like Uber. You're going to use it for personal use and you're going to use it for business use. You might be a guy who's married, but you use Bubbl for your your like when you go to conferences, right? You might want to share a hotel room because you're a solopreneur with another guy, and you just see him and you literally pass in the night, right, at the hotel room. You just get half price in Las Vegas on the Strip. But then you might also travel in your Bubbl with your wife and another family. So you'd use your Bubbl for these different contexts. So I guess what we're doing is we're launching this like really human first kind of like matching thing. Whatever the occasion is, you'll come on board and you'll like talk to our agent and just kind of like have a conversation about what you're looking for, and we will match you for that use case and that context. So that's one thing. I'm super excited about that. And then another thing is properties. So we're spinning up the properties. So we're doing deals to get listings, and I'd love to hear feedback from your audience if they want to be on our platform and they want to work with us on how we fractionalize it. But the idea is that we can spin up listings quickly. Like, for example, for conferences and concerts, we know what type of properties are the best properties. They've got certain characteristics that we're building into our algorithm when we recommend a property to someone. So we'll be recommending properties on the fly. That's the second thing. And then the third thing, I'm super excited. Any skiers in your audience? I'm sure there's a few. A week early, I don't know when this goes live, but we're going to be launching the Super Bubbl ski community housing network. And I'm launching it. This was my vision when I started Bubbl. This is the thing I would have loved when I was younger. Or even now, because I'm going to use it all next year. And that is that it'll be global, but anyone who has access to a house or a property near a ski venue or a ski town, they can opt their property. They have to be either renting it or owning, or have access, basically, have access to that property with at least one spare room, and they can list it on Bubbl, and they'll have to list a guest fee. And we all know that with ski cabins and with share houses that there's a guest fee price for friends of friends who come. So usually the people who are members, they pay an amount up front, but a guest fee is like the nightly price for someone who comes who's a friend of a friend. It's usually quite low. It's usually like, less than $100. So what's going to happen with this network is you opt in, you've got a user profile on Bubbl that is vetted and verified. With your rating system, you'll get rated badly if you screw it up. You have your property on there. If you have 10 people in your ski lease, they can all go on as long as they're attached to a property and inside a Bubbl already. And then what they can do, this is the sexy part, they'll be able to search any other ski property on the network and contact the person who's the connector. This runs the calendar, and they'll be able to book a spot for the price of a guest fee. So imagine me wanting to go to Jackson Hole. The guy who's got the house in Jackson, well, he might want to go to Taos. The guy in Taos might want to go to Chamonix, and the guy in Chamonix might want to come to Lake Tahoe. And everyone will be able to do it on Bubbl. And that's what we're launching for next season. And so I hope you're excited about that if you're a skier, because this has been my vision ever since I came up with the idea that we can help people. And here's the thing. It's not that you're going there for the cheap stay. I mean, you are, but you're going there because that person who's in the property or those people in that ski house, they'll probably take you skiing. They'll probably show you the best après bar. They'll probably show you the stash. They'll probably tell you which is the best ski shop to, fix your bindings. So that's really like the point of it.
Yeah, wow. That is really exciting. I can't say I've heard of anything like that before, which is really cool, Hayley.
And
So,
I used to live in Europe, so I have loads of connections in Europe and Australia. Not that Australian skiing matters, but Europe for sure. Like, I'm going to make sure this gets to Europe, and we have Chamonix and all those ones on the Icon and Icon, some of the ones on the Icon and the Epic Pass included. So all these Epic and Icon Pass holders will be able to go, and it's going to be like opt in. Like, the more you lean in, the more you're going to benefit. So
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense with it, being community focused, that it's not just about staying there, it's the community.
yeah, yes, exactly. I want to build a massive ski community of a global community of socially responsible travelers.
Hmm. That's really epic. Well, Hayley,
Very Australian.
before we wrap up, and I don't mean
Mm.
with a bow, I mean bubble wrap. If someone wants to reach out, learn
Yep.
more about Bubbl, or
Yep.
maybe it's an investor who wants to explore a partnership opportunity, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Hayley, Hayley, at bubbl.co, bubbl.co. I welcome people who've got properties. I welcome people who want to join and travel. Sign up because we're going to be launching that waitlist soon. We're raising around right now with our solid team. So if you're interested in, getting part of this, it is my full intent that. So I just want to share one last thing. The way I look at social travel had Craigslist was 1.0. It was very, very weird and but that was the first version. Then you had couch surfing, where you had I own this house and come and sleep on my couch. And that was great, but they didn't actually make money. The third one was Airbnb changed the world. I mean, you had Verbo, but Airbnb came about and they built culture. They built a brand. They haven't done everything perfectly, but they've done a phenomenal job. But it's still attached to the homeowner. And what I wanted to do is completely democratize it and make this platform for travelers. Of course, homeowners are travelers and travelers are homeowners. But the idea was I wanted to build the platform whereby it didn't matter that I didn't own the house in Jackson Hole. If I wanted to set up and have people come and we all stay together and, I'm caretaking it, then I wanted to be able to do that, to be able to take a house and share it, because there might be a really cool property in Jackson that I want to rent, but I don't have enough people. And so that's why Bubbl was created. And so that's why I call this Airbnb 4.0. And I am not going to stop until we've done it, until we've built it. And by the way, World Cup soccer next year, we've got our eye on 20 million people are coming in from overseas, and Bubbl is going to be armed and dangerous and ready to really help that housing crisis that's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Hayley, I love how you're blending tech, travel, community, and you're creating something really unique for the real estate world and travelers and investors. It's just amazing. Thank you so much for sharing it all today.
Thank you, Erika. Great to be here. Thanks, everyone. Bye. And enjoy the winter if you're a skier.
And for everyone tuning in, if you love this episode, make sure that you're subscribed to the Real Estate Pro Show. We've got more episodes lined up with trailblazers like Hayley who are redefining the real estate world. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.